Ain is project manager at the University of Tartu in Pärnu College, the Research and Development Office. And Ain is mainly in charge of international networking and strategic partnership. His main activities are connected to tourism and hospitality on the Baltic Sea region in the context of public and private sector, and linking education, research and development, and science communication. Please.
I can relate to most of the people actually on a panel. I was just doing this little exercise, but Rail Baltic is pretty much, we are talking about the same corridor as I was involved in mid-90s with Via Baltica corridor. We tried to kind of make it function as a tourism corridor as well. So pretty much the same neighborhood, I would say. So concerning Hamburg, I think it's really like Baltic Sea also can be seen as a network of major harbors, which at the same time are also like major tourist destinations. So it is a rather, I would say, compact network in this sense. And concerning TalTech, we had your colleagues from Kuressaare, Saaremaa at our conference in the end of August, which also was dedicated to some extent to the topics we are discussing here today. And Tallinna Sadam, you know, I've been doing stuff with these people for so long I can't even remember. Not recently, but there have been quite many events where we have been doing some cooperation. So, University of Tartu, Pärnu College, or as you could call it, our national tourism university. Of course, there are other educational institutions providing tourism and hospitality education, but whenever you end up talking to industry stakeholders, people from real life as such, then definitely they have this opinion that Pärnu is number one. And I'll be doing there a lot of work. So this is now my third stint at Pärnu College. And the picture itself tells you that we are at a very, I wouldn't say favorable location, but in a location where actually green and blue are actually part of your daily environment. Because we are in a very estuary of a river, so if you would be having this helicopter view, as you see on a photo, actually sea would be behind you. So this is really like where green and blue get to meet. And there are a couple of cases I would like to share with you, just letting you know how exactly, let's say, academic people and systems also try to get on board concerning this blue economy, as we call it. So there was a project which ended in June, international project where our college was involved with some partners from Finland, Latvia, Ireland and Netherlands, and basically this was a nice way of prototyping how do you come up with study or degree programs which actually are not made up at academia, but actually are based on what people on the street, or let's say the end users, actually think is relevant and important. So the project itself is about sector-specific skills development in coastal and maritime tourism, so I think very relevant topic. And we try to figure out what are the occupational profiles really in need of most drastic change, or maybe there are no such occupations, but actually should be. And we were asking a lot of questions from actually not only the people who were supposed to be carrying this occupation as such, being involved there, but also from their partners, stakeholders around them, and also the end customers, tourists, meaning that everybody got to say what they think people providing these services, blue economy services, actually should know and be able to do. So as a result of this, actually, bachelor curriculum was made up, and as you see, there are 4, let's say, parts to it, meaning that all these 4 can be also provided as shorter, so-called micro-credential courses. So you don't have to go into the whole thing, but all the participating institutions have also prototyped, kind of tested how do these things work. And also environment was created for providing these so-called study results, enabling teaching and learning process. And in the end, actually, I would think maybe for an outsider who is not really into academia or anything like that, there are 17 cases by all the participating partners, really from real life, describing very particular events or facilities or developments in human readable format. What was the situation, what was the problem that we needed to solve, and how actually we did it, and what did we end up with. Again, like not only an academic context, but very real-life approach. When we invented something, because the term resource management was really cooked up in Pärnu by us, like a couple of years ago, and the reason was that we were looking at this big thing called sustainability, climate crisis, circular economy, basically anything and everything, how to actually call it, because there are so many things and it's also gathered, and we said resource management is actually the umbrella thing covering all these things we usually discuss, but just use different names. And why resource management in Pärnu? You see, we belong to social sciences. We don't do natural sciences, meaning we don't do environment and we don't do technology. But we do what? The human caught between environment and technology. So actually management is the key there. And of course, at the same time, human resource is also part of these resources we are dealing with. So how the environment is impacting us and how we are doing the same in regard of environment, and the same thing with technology, how we develop technology and how this developing technology is impacting us as well. So we started actually with 2 resource management micro-credential courses. As you see, one already was done during last study year. And this really was kind of introduction, but what is this whole thing actually we call resource management, trying to put all these smaller things into one meaningful entity or big picture. And we had around 10 or so graduates as well. So for a pilot, I would say it's quite enough to say that there is relevant interest. And what's also interesting, quite many public sector stakeholders were quite interested to come on board, because they are in a situation when all these things are somehow on their working desk, but they don't really know what is it, how should I be addressing these issues, what are the expectations, what are the rules, what are the trends, what is the future. So a little bit like putting them on the same page with what's actually happening. And then we considered this to be kind of introduction, and now this study actually we took another step. We opened applied resource management, meaning that actually when in the first course we told what this thing is, now we tell them how you actually use it. So what is there to do and how do you actually do it? And I would say that these 2 steps so far have told us that definitely at some point we are making the decision that maybe there should be a resource management master degree program at our college as well, like full scale. And at the same time also we would like to see our international partners in the Baltic Sea region somehow being involved in this as well. And you see a little fish up there, so one of the invasive species in the Baltic Sea, and actually last year this was really popular because our scientists also did a little bit of research concerning how these invasive species are generating some also, let's say, social positive impact. What can be also seen if you catch strange fish. So, and it's enough of them actually, and you start like coming up with new kind of food and ways of using it actually, what is a positive impact. And this little fish and this particular photo was viral at some point. So basically most of the news coming from Pärnu College actually for a couple of weeks were basically using this photo. So what we did in end of August, as I already referred, like we had TalTech colleagues from Kuressaare there. So we said, okay, we now need to tell the local community, which is called science communication, what the science is and why this science is important for the local community, what is this blue economy actually. Because if you tell local community resource management, they kind of get lost still. But blue economy, people are more or less like finding able to relate to it, because they more or less now know that blue is the new green. And we've been talking a lot about green. Now let's talk about blue. And it was a success, this conference. It was international, about 50 people in our library. And we had a very high-level keynote speaker, Professor Jörn Schmidt, and he actually gave a very, not only nice, but really like detailed outline and overview of what this European blue economy actually is. And of course, I would say that the most important finding in a way that is relevant to where we are today is like tourism actually is there, definitely number one. No matter how you look at blue economy, tourism is definitely the largest part of it. And then we had a very nice high-level discussion panel like this, but we had different very high-level ministerial stakeholders were having a very fluent discussion going on again, like, okay, what should be Estonia doing in regard of being on the top of this blue economy development, not just being dragged behind, but actually being also a leader in some context. And one of the questions among others was, what are the limitations, challenges, and opportunities for further advancing blue economy in Estonia? And we also had 10 presentations, different topics. Again, we ended with tourism, covering like Estonia, Finland, and Latvia. And the outcome, I would say, of this whole event actually was that what is still missing, awareness, communication, and involvement. So these are the things that definitely need to boost. And the last thing in my opening presentation, when as a result of this event and everything we've been doing in regards of resource management, we published an Universitas Tartuensis, which is our university's magazine, an article, which basically was telling why in Pärnu we are doing it, what is this blue economy, but you could really say it very easily, just being sustainable use of marine resources, although it's not. There is so much more to it, but it's an easy way of defining it. And also why it's important actually to generate this awareness, but actually there are not many things that can be turned back in regard of environment, also blue economy-wise. So basically, the more you know before you actually start even planning or doing anything, the more likely you are to succeed and not to cause any major issues. So it's really about communicating also the community around you, because as you see sometimes also in blue economy context, we get really emotional meetings somewhere on the coastal parts of Estonia. And basically why? Because the local community does not feel that they have been involved in the discussion even before any planning actually started. And of course it's easy for average person to become emotional in this context, because they get really suspicious, like, okay, what are these guys planning and how it is going to change my environment and all that. So there is more communication actually and involvement definitely needed. And we could say that this resource management is also relevant to the whole of the Pärnu College, because it's actually covering all the academic domains we've been dealing with so far: tourism and hospitality, business and project management, and also social services administration. Yeah, thank you.
Fine, thank you very much for the academic view. Any questions? All right.